Hi,
Hi.
Kate.
Here's everybody.
Hello.
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 Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Okay. Um, so, as a kid, I always wanted to play football. Pop Warner is really popular in my town, so when I got old enough, I said to my parents, "Can I play?" They said, "No, it's too dangerous." They didn't know why it was too dangerous. They just knew it was, and I found that to be a pretty common response among adults. So when I was older, I went to college. I started my freshman year at Providence College, and I played rugby there. Um, Rugby was a blast, but there was one common thing that I saw during games, which was concussions. 8 of my teammates suffered concussion in a 12-game season, and I saw symptoms ranging from them not being able to answer basic questions to them being able to answer basic questions, but not in a timely manner or with any certainty. So I've gathered that there's a lot of similarities and differences in rugby and football. One of the most obvious similarities is the way the balls look. That's similarity number one, but there's a lot of other things too. Paolo Bandini of The Guardian, he wrote a special article for ESPN talking about the similarities and differences between rugby and football, the concussion rates that occur in each of them, and the long-term lasting effects that they have. So that's what I'll be talking about today, and whether or not a parent, such as some of the people in this audience, would like their child to play football or not. So, football, that's me, I played rugby. That's the difference. Football, one of the most visual things you see at first are the pads. So you can see they wear helmets, shoulder pads, mouth guard, etc. Helmet is designed to protect against concussions, however, clearly it's not working. In 2015, there were 182 reported concussions in 256 games that occurred for all the teams in a 16-game season. That's a really high rate. There's players, retired players are coming forward saying they're suffering from, they're developing neurodegenerative diseases earlier than others, such as Alzheimer's and CTE, and that's according to the experts at AccessScience.com. But one of the main reasons why concussions are occurring in the NFL is because of their tackling technique. So you can see here that this player is going in for a tackle with his head first. They want to go in for the big hit. That's a big no-no. So when you go into someone, an offensive player like this, if your head hits his body in any way, it can go in any direction. And with such impact, the helmet can't even help you from that. So this tackling technique is really, really not working for the people in the NFL, which brings me to the rugby tackling technique. You can see here, this guy, this is what I learned what to do. You arch your back, and what he's trying to do here is get his head on one side of the player, so he's tackling with his shoulders. That's, A, a lot better for your head. B, it results in more shoulder injuries, but it doesn't really mess with your brain or anything like that. Another reason why concussions don't happen as much in tackling for rugby, or why it does occur in rugby, is because of their lack of pads. This is the only thing that they can wear for padding. It's called the scrum cap. Technically, it doesn't even work for padding. It looks like it protects your head, however, it really protects your ears from ripping off. That's a whole other story, but yeah, that's a scrum cap. They can also wear a mouthpiece, but that's it. In 2015, this is according to Paolo Bandini as well, there were concussions occurred 13.4 times out of every 1,000 player hours, which is an incredibly high rate. It's slightly higher than football, and they're trying to determine why, because the tackling is not a factor in that. So the high concussion rates are leading to scientists and other people trying to figure out what the long-term lasting effects are and how they're going about to fix that. So a new study is being conducted over in the Rugby Football Union overseas, and they're creating this thing called patches. They put the patches behind their ears right here, and what they do is they monitor a player's brain cells during practice, after practice, and while they're sleeping to see what's occurring. This is a 3-year study. They're about a year and a half into it, and there should be an answer soon. Another way that they're trying to reduce this is by incurring fines and penalties. There's a new rule called targeting. If you hit a player in the head, you're immediately kicked out of the game. The tackling techniques, football players are trying to get tackling techniques from rugby. For example, Pete Carroll of the Seattle Seahawks brought in rugby players to his practices, and they're basically teaching football players how to tackle again. Other than that, the rates are incredibly high. In 2014, in both rugby and football, there was a 59% increase in concussions, which is absolutely wild. But they're working on it. After this next year and a half, they should have an answer based on the Patches study as to why players are suffering so many concussions and why in their retirement they're suffering from things such as Alzheimer's and CTE much more frequently and way earlier than other people. So, to wrap it up, you should have an answer. Parents, at this point, it's too dangerous. It's too dangerous of a sport to play. I played it, it was a blast, but there are many risks in it. And overall, concussions happen. It can happen anywhere, but it happens more frequently in rugby and football. So, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.